Okay, hi, this is Sketchy D. I'm just gonna show you what pen I'll be using for this demo. I'm using a Faber-Castell Pitt Artist pen, and it's not a full black, and it's also not a full brown. It's kind of in between. I don't think it says what color it is, but it's pretty much exactly how you see it. It's kind of like a grayish brown color. I have some music on in the background. I don't know how distracting it is, but I think my voice is closer to the microphone, so you should be able to hear me clearly. This is more like a test video, so we'll see how this works, and if the sound is either too loud or you can't hear my voice that well, then we'll fix that as we go. I'm going to be showing you the basic geoforms today. It's because I emphasize this a lot on the forums, on whether it be idsketching.com or on product design forums, but I think that you need to know your basic shapes first before you could go on to more advanced stuff. So I'll start with a simple cube. I like to draw in my guidelines first. This helps me to make sure that everything plots out correctly. Okay. And then, as you know, what perspective means is that they all need to eventually go to the same vanishing point, right? So all these lines should eventually go to that vanishing point. So let's say that's where that line is. I don't think it's going to be a perfect cube. I think it's going to be a little bit off, but same thing with this. So this line goes up to here. This one should go up to there. Same thing. So this one will also go to that vanishing point. Okay. So now we have those lines, and then we just finish it off. Same thing here. So this time I did that to show you how perspective works. But once you do that enough times, you'll be able to just freehand that. So I like to make the bottom line that touches the ground a weight darker. The reason why is if you place any object on the ground, let's say this cup, okay, I don't know if you can see it, but if you look right here it's slightly darker, and that's the shadow of the cup on the paper, but you usually can't see it because the cup is there's no like fillet at the end of the cup, or if any of the if I put this cell phone which has a radius on the bottom, you're able to see the shadow. Let's see if I could. So you're able to see it, right? But this you can't see it because it's perfectly 90 degrees to the paper. But by making the bottom edge of your object darker, it indicates that it is resting on a surface. It's resting on, yeah. So that's what I like to do. And then I'll talk about cones. So when I draw a cone, I like to start with the lips first, and then I draw in the center line, and then I finish it off with the edges of the cone. The reason why I draw the ellipse first is because if you look at a lot of sketches done by people, you'll notice that some ellipses tend to look like this. I mean, some cones tend to look like this. I don't know if you can see it, but what's happening here is on this one right here, on number 2, and this is number 1. On number 2, the edge, the corner, there's actually a visible corner there's a kink in there. Whereas on number 1, it's somewhat rounded. This is very important because by drawing it like number 2, you're indicating that from the top view that it's not a perfect circle. So in this one, it's a cone that's in perspective, right? And if you know, ellipses are basically circles in perspective. So there's your circle. Once it becomes in perspective, it turns into something like that. So, for example, you have this cup right here. It's a perfect circle, right? But as it goes into perspective, it becomes more and more into ellipse. Do you see that? The top of the cup. That's exactly what's happening. So, by saying that there's a little kink at the edge of this cone, you're indicating that from the top that it does not look like this, but instead it looks maybe that it could almost maybe even look like this, like a football shape, right? So make sure that your ellipses, and when you're drawing cones, make sure that it's rounded and not having this kink. And like I said earlier, the best way to do that is to draw the ellipse first, and then draw in the lines for the cone. And again, darken the bottom edge where it's resting on the ground plane to indicate that it's not just floating in midair. If it was floating in midair, though, depending on how high it was floating, and with the directly top-down light source, it can look something like this. Okay. I'm going to briefly talk about cylinders, which is actually pretty much the same thing as a cone, except there's another ellipse on top. So, again, start with the ellipse. I like to draw or sketch with the least amount of lines possible. This helps. You don't really need a million lines to indicate what your line is trying to do. And it also gets messier, and instead of, what happens is, if you try to fix it to make it perfect and keep going over it like this, to make sure that everything is clean, like perfectly correct, what happens is, because this becomes like the highest contrasting object on the whole paper, the eye will go directly to that, and that can be problematic, because if there's a lot of mistakes on this sketch, then that'll be the first thing that whoever's looking at your paper will see. And also, by drawing lightly, it's kind of like laying down the blueprint, I guess. Most of my sketches, actually maybe about 99% of the time, I don't do an underlay. I kind of started getting into it maybe a couple days ago, but usually I just go straight into with my pen, and then my first draft is my final draft. But that's just because I have so much mileage on sketching that I've kind of got used to it. So the way cylinders work, or let's pause here, because it's been 10 minutes already. We're gonna pause here, and then I'll make another video. So thanks for watching, and hope to see you soon.